What's going on, guys? Welcome back into the channel. Today we're going to be doing a video talking about contact in MLB The Show 21, whether it even matters this year in the game, basically how it applies to your players, because this is extremely important, especially for those of us that are going to be starting franchises soon once the full minors roster comes out. And it's something that I want to test out a little bit and show you guys in the video some of the ways that contact applies this year in MLB The Show 21 and how it's slightly different from what it used to be in MLB The Show. Starting off here, I have edited two players to have a main comparison here today. We're going to jump into a game and hit with two players in a row and show some of the differences between those players. The first player is Adam Frazier at second base. We've taken his contact all the way down to 0. And then at third base, Ke'Bryan Hayes, we've taken his contact all the way up to 99. What I'll say is before I jump into this, whenever I had one player at 99 and another player at 50, whenever I did my first test, I really didn't notice much of a difference between the contact of the two players. And the reason that I even did that test in the first place is because I've been playing a lot of Road to the Show, and I've done two separate Road to the Shows now, one with a contact hitter that had high 90s contact and one with a power hitter. And I noticed that the power hitter that had contact in the 40s and 50s could hit the ball just as easily as the contact hitter who had 90 plus contact. And I know that a little bit of that can be due to the difference in power, but the thing that was odd to me was that the contact really didn't seem to make a difference. At least it didn't seem to make a difference the way that it used to, where if you had better contact, you'd have a much larger zone. I'm on zone hitting in order to hit the ball. And so, you get that zone replay after you swing at a ball, depending on what type of swing you're on, whether you're on zone hitting, directional hitting, you get that feedback as to how big your zone is, how close you were to the ball, and things like that. And it really didn't seem like between my guy with 90 plus contact and my guy with 50 plus contact that there was any difference in the size of that zone. And that was really the main difference in the past for contact. A player with higher contact, like Ke'Bryan Hayes on the screen here, we have edited to 99, would have a huge zone and would be able to contact the ball super easily. Whereas a guy with lower contact would have a much smaller zone and it would be much more difficult to hit the ball with that person because they have a much smaller window to actually be able to make contact. Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and jump into it today, and we're going to note a couple of differences here whenever hitting the ball with these two separate players. So, the first thing that I want you to notice is that there is a difference. It is just much less noticeable than it used to be, and it took turning the players all the way up to 99 and down to 0 contact in order to actually notice the difference. So, take a look at Ke'Bryan Hayes' zone here in the strike zone. It's complete side-to-side coverage, and on the replay of the swing, you'll see that it's a pretty sizable zone. It covers, I would say, a majority of the zone if I just swung straight through. So we'll go ahead and just swing straight through right there. And then I want to show you guys the difference between a guy that has 0 contact. So let's take a look at that. So you can see that his zone covers most of the strike zone there. The one odd thing that I want to note before we actually take this pitch is that in the past, if you've had 99 zone, and I'm on the same difficulty that I was on last year, All-Star, through and through, and I'm on zone hitting still. If you had 99 contact, I should say, last year, your zone would be much bigger than it was showing down there in the bottom right. However, the difference really comes in here whenever we see a guy with 0 contact. You can see that the zone here covers much less of the strike zone. And whenever I actually swing at the pitch, it covers less of that strike zone in the replay in the bottom left. Now, the thing that's odd about that, the thing that I find to be extremely odd about that, is the fact that it's really not that much of a difference. And if you've played the game much this year, you've probably noticed that it really doesn't make much of a difference in terms of you being able to hit the ball. One of the things that I've really kind of noticed even in franchise mode and Road to the Show and Diamond Dynasty, a player's contact almost doesn't matter this year. And I'm not sure why they made it that way. The only thing that I've noticed a difference in is a player's ability to foul balls off. A player with higher contact, like Ke'Bryan Hayes, how we have him edited up to 99, is going to be able to foul off a lot more pitches. And so I'm going to try to foul off some pitches here. You guys will probably notice that it's easier to get contact on some stuff. I'm going to try to like not actually hit the pitches with the zone, but rather like kind of be off of the pitches. You guys can see there I got a hold of one pretty good. But realistically speaking, the interesting thing about it is the only difference I've noticed is, like I said, your zone is slightly smaller if you have almost no contact. If you have pretty much the same contact, you get a good amount of zone there still to hit. The weird thing, if you guys look at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen there, you guys can see that the outside PCI, the outside of the hitting zone, is much larger, or appears much larger. In reality, it's the same size as a player with higher contact. So basically what I'm getting out there is you have the same chance of getting a hold of a ball. You have a smaller hard contact zone, as I would call it, the inner PCI. So you have a smaller contact zone, but it's really not that much smaller. And so I don't know why they've done this change. I don't know if they're trying to make contact factor in a little bit differently, similar, I would say, in terms to power, and how that's not necessarily going to give you a bigger or smaller PCI if you have greater power or something like that. How most of these other stats are pretty similar in how they affect the game. But even here, you can look at the guys that we have up to bat. Their zone in the bottom left in the replay is pretty similar to Ke'Bryan Hayes's. I mean, Ke'Bryan does not get much of an advantage for having that 99 contact. Well, the point of making this video is just to highlight this and show you guys the fact that contact really doesn't make as much of a difference as it used to within the game. Personally speaking, I'm going to have a lot less of a focus on contact because I can, get these hits with guys that have much lower contact, and it's not an issue whatsoever because they pretty much all get a pretty sizable zone to actually hit the ball with. And on top of that, that really affects the way that you develop your players in franchise mode or choose to develop your road to the show player and things of that nature, because it's going to take a focus away from contact and it's going to change the way you see your overall, because the game factors contact in as a huge factor in your overall. If we exit out of this game, for example, you guys are going to see that Frazier got taken way down in terms of his overall, and the problem with that is if contact really doesn't matter the same way, then why is that going to factor so heavily into a player's overall? Adam Frazier was about a 79 or so before I edited him. If we take a look at the roster at second base, he got taken all the way down from the first second baseman down to a 68 overall because of zero contact, but I'm still able to hit the ball with him. No problems at all hitting the ball with a guy like that because he still has a pretty reasonably sized zone. And then if I take a look at Ke'Bryan Hayes, his overall got inflated up to an 87 by giving him 99 contact on both sides. So clearly contact matters in terms of your overall, but the point is that it doesn't matter as much in terms of how a player actually plays whenever you're utilizing them to hit the baseball. And maybe this is going to factor in a little bit differently depending on what type of hitting you're on, because I know a lot of people really like to use directional hitting, which is kind of what I consider to be easy mode. And so maybe you see more of a benefit from higher contact on directional hitting or maybe pure analog hitting, and that's what they're going for this year. But I'm pretty sure that they've made kind of a drastic change here to contact and the fact that you don't really see much of a difference in terms of your zone. I know for a fact that last year with some of the power hitters in the game, guys that don't have as good of contact but have pretty good power, they tend to not really have that big of a zone. We could talk about maybe a Matt Olson, for example. I know that I had an A's franchise last year and he had a tiny zone to hit with on All-Star, much smaller than you saw with Adam Frazier there, which is really weird because Adam Frazier had zero contact. So maybe they are just trying to go in a different direction with contact this year, with zone hitting this year, or with whatever other hitting. I don't really know what they're trying to do. Maybe they're trying to get more people to utilize zone hitting as opposed to other methods, or maybe they're trying to get people to stop using zone hitting. I don't really know what's going on here, but maybe you guys can give me some feedback. Maybe you have seen some information that I haven't. This is something that both my friends and I have brought up in conversation multiple times, that we really don't see the difference. We don't, like I said, my road to the show player specifically, I chose to go and switch my guy from a contact hitter to a power hitter because the contact hitter wasn't really seeing the benefits of having that extra contact. I could hit just as well with a power hitter, but then I could add home runs on top of it and things like that. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense what they're doing here with it, and I just wanted to highlight it and bring it to your guys' attention because, like I've said already a couple times in this video, and I'm going to stop rambling now, it matters in terms of how you build up your players in franchise mode, in Road to the Show, whatever you're playing, Diamond Dynasty. It takes the focus away from certain stats, and certain stats now can kind of hyperinflate a player's rating. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you see the same things? Are you seeing it differently? If you're on a different type of hitting method, like I said, I'm on zone. Are you seeing the same thing? I'm going to try to use it on some of the other hitting methods just to see if it applies the same way or not. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section, what you guys are seeing from this. And with all that being said, leave a like on the video if you like this type of discussion video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and you want to see more. Comment down below with anything you guys would like to see next, anything you could use help with. Leave that in the comment section, and I'll see you guys in the next video. I hope you guys have a good one. I don't know what's going on here, but something that has intrigued me, and I'm very, very curious about why they made a bit of a change here with this year. So see you guys in the next one. Hope you have a good one.